Hi, I'm relatively new to YouTube, but I decided that I wanted to make my first video for living with MI, and I wanted to speak a bit about hypochondriasis disorder. Hypochondriasis is just the long medical name for hypochondria or health anxiety. Everyone knows the word hypochondria, but it seems that it's a word, it's something to be laughed at. It's a word to describe somebody who's overreacting in a bad way. And I suppose that's what it is. Hypochondriasis is overreacting, but it's overreacting in a way which is extreme. A person with hypochondria, in its basic terms, I think it's different for a lot of people, but they will interpret symptoms within their body as being far worse and far more scary and life-threatening as what they actually are. And this never happened to me, but it's the best example that I can think of, is that, for example, if I stayed up all night one night, and then drank a lot of coffee in the morning and had the worst headache because of that, I wouldn't associate my headache with being up all night. I would think that I've got a brain tumour, and I would convince myself that I've got a brain tumour and I will live for however long it takes, a couple of weeks, convinced that I'm going to die of a brain tumour. And it's incredibly liberating and exhausting. People with hypochondria will visit the doctors so many times, they'll be there so frequently, practically once, twice, 3 times a week. I know I went to the doctors in my worst point about 3 times in 2 weeks, sorry. And they will go with the tiniest little things that a person without any anxiety at all wouldn't even think twice about, a spot or a headache or something. And not only will they go to the doctors, but they also won't believe what the doctor is telling them. They'll think that the doctor must have missed it. Or they'll either go to the doctors, or they are so terrified of what the doctor's going to tell them that they won't go at all. I was relatively lucky. I identified that I had a mental health problem as opposed to a physical problem quite early. I only lived with symptoms, if you like, for about 2 months before I got CBT and put on antidepressants, which helped so much. My obsession was with things on my head. I had a couple of swollen lymph nodes because I got cold and they swelled up, and after that I became obsessed with things on my head, with bumps on my head, and I would check like 30-40 times a day and give myself physical burns, I guess, on my head where I would rub and check. The therapy for hypochondria is, I suppose, very similar to any other type of anxiety. It's basically just rationalising your thoughts. I had to write down my worry and then rate how worried I was about it, and then how much I actually thought it was going to happen, really. Which is quite hard when for so long you've been used to believing everything that your mind is telling you, I guess. And then you rationalise your thoughts by realising that the outcome, you always overreact. The outcome is never as bad as what you think it is. I suppose the root of my hypochondriasis was lack of self-confidence and a need to control everything. I really hated not knowing what was going on in my body. I hated not knowing if there was something wrong. I had to know all the time. And as it got worse, it stemmed from the things in my head, and slowly it just became a general fear all over my body that there was something wrong. The therapy worked for me. It worked really well. I can push the hypochondria straight, like right back to the back of my mind now. It only comes back maybe if I have a triggering experience, like I don't read any newspaper articles, about people who are ill. I tend to skip the health section. I don't watch programs. Interestingly, I can watch like A&E programs about like road accidents and things, but if there was a program about cancer or heart disease or something, I wouldn't be able to watch it because immediately a load of fears would come flooding back to me. I think that's all I really want to say. I wanted to make people aware of hypochondriasis, because in my experience I don't think many people know that it's an actual medical condition. I've had a lot of trouble over the past few months with people not understanding really what's wrong with me. Not getting my fears, and it's not that I expect them to get my fears, because mental health, you can't understand it properly unless you're going through it yourself. But I guess what I wanted to get from this video is showing people that hypochondria isn't just a word to be used as a joke, I guess. I was in the doctor's surgery yesterday actually, and I overheard a man and his wife at the counter talking to the receptionist, and the woman was talking about whatever was wrong with her, and the fact that her husband really wanted to know what was wrong with her. He wanted all the details and everything, and she just said, he's a bit of a hypochondriac, he has to know what's going on with me. And what that word in a normal conversation, it like jumped out at me, and it really hit me, because I know what real hypochondria is like. So that's a bit of a success story, I guess. Thanks for watching.